Good evening. Welcome to Newsmax TV's continuing coverage of the 2016 Republican National Convention. I'm J.D. Hayworth. Donald Trump will accept his party's nomination and will make the case as to why he should be elected the 45th President of the United States. Of course, the billionaire businessman defeated 16 fellow Republicans on his way to the nomination. His outsider status and asset in this historic political year, his outspoken opposition to illegal immigration igniting his campaign, and there was something else, quite frankly, his ability to drive and dominate the news cycle. Ironically, as he prepares to deliver the most important speech of his life tonight, other stories and other names are crowding into the headlines this evening. One of those stories involves this business, television news. Roger Ailes resigns as the CEO of Fox News, setting off speculation about the future of that news channel and, quite frankly, how it may affect future television coverage of the conservative movement. We'll discuss that a little more in depth later with former Speaker Newt Gingrich. Meantime, the other story concerns what you and I saw from the convention podium last night, that speech delivered by Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Now, as we look live inside the convention hall tonight, we see my good friend, America's toughest sheriff, Joe Arpaio, speaking, and we should note that a new podium was installed earlier today, and though that was by design, some wags would probably make the case that it doesn't hurt to get rid of the rostrum that Ted Cruz used to give a speech that did not end with an endorsement of Donald Trump. So, the question tonight is this: will Mr. Trump address that hot topic, or will he steer clear of that and try to set the tone for the general election? This reminder, apropos to this evening, as we are on probably till midnight in the East, we will be taking your calls at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Now, for more on what we can expect tonight at the convention, we're pleased to be joined live from the convention floor by the co-founder of Women Vote Trump PAC, Amy Kremer. Joining us via Skype, we have the gentleman you see here most weeknights at 7 p.m., Steve Malzberg, host of the Steve Malzberg Show, and we thank you both for your time tonight in our special coverage. Amy, ladies first. The whole situation with Ted Cruz last night, when he did not specifically endorse Mr. Trump, but instead said, and I quote, "vote your conscience." Let's look at how that went down last night.
If you love our country and love your children as much as I know that you do, stand and speak and vote your conscience. Vote for candidates up and down the ticket who you trust to defend our freedom and to be faithful to the Constitution.
As we hear right there, that set off a raucous reaction. And then you think back to March 3rd of this year, Senator Cruz asked directly whether he would stick to the pledge that ironically had been made in Cleveland at that first Republican debate. He was asked, would he stick with that pledge to support the nominee no matter what? Here is Ted Cruz from back in March.
Senator Cruz, yes or no, you will support Donald Trump if he's the nominee?
Yes, because I gave my word that I would. And then what I have endeavored to do every day in the Senate is do what I said I would do.
So he said he would stay with it, and yet this morning he doubles down. I just want you to see how he tried to explain it this morning at the Texas delegation breakfast. Here's what he had to say this morning.
And I'll tell you the day that pledge was abrogated. The day that was abrogated was the day this became personal. And as I said at the time, and I'm not going to get into criticizing or attacking Donald Trump, but I'll just give you this response. I am not in the habit of supporting people who attack my wife and attack my father.
So, Amy, I just wanted to show that so there's some context. Your reaction to Senator Cruz and what transpired.
The Republicans JD, I have to tell you, I'm extremely disappointed in Senator Cruz. I was in this arena last night when he came in, and he had a standing ovation. I mean, this arena was on their feet screaming and yelling for him. So much energy and excitement, and he could have walked out of here the hero last night. And towards the end of the speech, people were standing up saying, say it, like trying to draw it out of him, and he would not say it. And I honestly think those 3 words, vote your conscience, made it worse than what it ended up being. Look, he shouldn't have been here. I have a lot of respect for John Kasich not being here last night, but Ted Cruz wanted that platform. And JD, you and I both know Ted Cruz is a smart man. He knows that politics is personal, and I understand why he feels the way he does about Heidi and his dad. They're lovely people, and I would feel the same way. But you have to remember, too, that Team Cruz was attacking Melania Trump before Donald Trump tweeted that picture. And it was horrible things, nude photos of Melania calling her horrible names. And so I think Donald Trump reacted. And at the end of the day,
well, the bottom line, Amy,
this is this. America.
Yeah, politics ain't beanbags. Steve Malzberg, if I sat down and chronicled the shots taken at my family during my time in politics, we'd have to spend that for the next hour. Your take, Steve.
Who did you plagiarize that from? Politics ain't beanbag. You better watch.
Yeah, I could be in trouble for that, huh?
Look, Ted Cruz could have been a hero. Ted Cruz could have said on the convention floor last night, hey, you know what? I didn't like what Donald Trump said about my father. I didn't like what Donald Trump said about my wife. But I'm a constitutionalist, and I do care for my children, as he said, if you care for your children. I do care for their future, and I will not have them growing up in a United States, in a country that has 3 more Supreme Court justices appointed by Hillary Clinton. But he chose to bet that Donald Trump's going to lose, and he thinks by doing what he did, he enhanced his political stature for next time around. And in fact, I agree with Richard Viguerie, who said he committed political suicide.
Well, let's bring in someone else to this panel. Javier Manjarres, who is the publisher of the Shark Tank political blog, joining us from our Newsmax TV newsroom. Javi, you spent a lot of time with Ted Cruz early in the campaign. I think a lot of us like Ted, right. But last night, come on, there's no rationale for that, is there?
Listen, Ted's a smart guy. I agree with Amy. He's a friend of mine. But I don't think he committed political suicide. I think he really shot himself in the foot. I think that just look at his Facebook followers; they've dropped significantly in one day because of what he said. Look, I didn't expect him to endorse Donald Trump, considering what the back and forth during the campaign between them, the personal attacks between the 2 campaigns. But he could have at least taken the same road Senator Marco Rubio did and just said, "Hey, there's a contrast, a difference between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump." But Donald Trump is a better choice, but he didn't go that far. He could have said nice things about Trump, what he wants to do, but he didn't, and he failed a lot of Americans. I think people are disappointed, if anything, because they expected something out of Cruz that was somewhat positive in support of Donald Trump, not so much.
Well, I tell you what, Javi, let's do this. So you say people are upset. Let's find out what they have to say from around the country at 1-877-NEWSMAX, 1-877-639-7629. And let's begin in San Bernardino, California, where Pam joins us. Pam, welcome to Newsmax TV.
Hello there.
Hi.
Yes.
Hi.
I ran for Congress in 2008 and lost to Jerry Lewis, who had been in there for about 27 years. I think one thing that's really important to note is that an area that I really respect Donald Trump for is that he does not allow the opinion of others to become his reality. And so I think one thing that's important to note is that when Cruz conducted an investigation against Rubio on suspicion of his homosexual affairs.
All right, we're getting far afield. Bottom line is, tell me about Cruz. Did he do the right thing or the wrong thing last night, Pam?
Last night, so you want to go there? Okay.
That's what we're talking about, Pam. Did he do the right thing last night?
Well, I think one of the issues is that Cruz talks about being a Christian, and I think in that regard, he needs to forgive and forget. And, it goes back to Cruz's surprise of Rubio during the campaign.
All right. I appreciate it, Pam. We hear you. You think he should be more charitable. Let's take a look at the Trump reaction that Pam alluded to a bit earlier via tweet. Here's what Donald had to say earlier, albeit electronically. Other than a small group of people who have suffered massive and embarrassing losses, the party is very united. Great love in the arena. Speaking of the arena, let's go back to Amy, who is inside that arena right now. The other thing Mr. Trump tweeted out was, quote, "no big deal," with reference to Cruz. Is he striking the right tone?
Actually, I think he is, JD. I think it was a win-win for Donald Trump regardless. If Cruz had endorsed, he would have won. And what happened last night, especially when people found out that Donald Trump had read the transcript before Cruz went on and he still let him go on, those people that were sitting on the fence last night got off that fence and got on the Trump train. And I think actually what happened is that Cruz united the people in this arena more than ever before and those at home as well. And so I think it was a good thing. All Cruz had to do last night was say, look, the American people have spoken. We need to come together now and support our nominee. That's all he had to do, and he couldn't do it.
Let me turn to Steve Malzberg. Amy's putting out the theory that Mr. Trump was crazy like a fox. Let Ted go out there, say what he has to say, and it will actually galvanize the party, unite the GOP for November. Do you agree, Steve?
Absolutely. Can you imagine, JD, what would have happened if he got the speech 3 hours before and then they canceled him? Oh, my God. The headline in every paper would have been, Trump pulls Cruz, blah, blah, blah. So he was a genius for letting him speak. It was a win-win. If he got the endorsement, he got the endorsement. If it was sour grapes on the part of Cruz and he looked like a fool, that helps Trump. It helps unify the party. I think he was dumb like a fox. Exactly.
All right, let me give Javi 30 seconds. As a political consultant, it used to be pro forma that if you win the nomination, you're going to look closely at the speeches. They have to be submitted in advance. Did Team Trump make a mistake not trying to work with Cruz on a draft a couple of weeks ago? Javi, 30 seconds.
Absolutely not. Trump is Trump. He doesn't care what anyone says. That's why he's in the position he is now. I think he just let it roll. That he rolled the dice. He didn't care, regardless of the outcome of what Ted Cruz was going to say or said. It was like I agree with Steve. It was a win-win for Donald Trump. This remains to be seen how this affects Ted Cruz down the road, because win, lose, or draw, I think Ted Cruz will survive this. And maybe he's a genius and we don't know it, because what if Donald Trump loses, God forbid, then maybe
I got to tell you, pal, that's kind of tortured reasoning, but it's out there. Javi, Steve, we'll have you back. Amy, thanks for your time tonight from the convention. More of your calls coming up, and in mere moments, my old friend and the former Speaker of the House, one Newt Gingrich, joins us to talk about the convention, the conservative movement, and TV news. A dramatic change today. Stay with us.